Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about some of the common misconceptions of investing in real estate. Yeah, there's a lot of things that people think are true when it comes to investing in real estate, which, you know, when you peel back the onion, you get yourself properly educated, you realize that, maybe these things aren't absolutely true. Maybe these things are false beliefs that I've inherited throughout my life. Maybe these things are misinformation that I received from somebody who appeared to know what they were talking about, but, maybe they didn't. Maybe some of this information comes from, hanging out at 2, 3, 4 in the morning because you can't sleep because you got financial problems and you're flipping through the channels on the boob tube and, all of a sudden some guy in a shiny suit shows up on the screen for the next half hour. He tells you all about how he's going to make magic for you by real estate investing, and you won't have to do anything in order to get all the benefits. Yeah, those are some of the different sources that are out there that could provide for you a misconception. So what I'm going to do on today's show is I'm going to tackle some of these misconceptions. And the reason I'm going to do it is because you might have some of these misconceptions in the back of your mind. Yeah. Oh, let's get to the one that everybody thinks is absolutely true. This one, everybody firmly believes that it takes huge, and when I say huge, I mean lots of money in order to invest in real estate. And it's just not true. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, you're going to have some skin in the game. We don't teach you how to invest with no money down strategies. And the reason we don't do that is because 9 times out of 10, closer to 10 times out of 10, it will put you in a bad position of ownership because you're going to be over leveraged on the property. Because you've got 100% leverage on the property. Very few deals work out that way. Now, when you invest the way that we teach you how to invest, there is potential to actually do a property that costs you no money out of pocket. When the dust all settles, you're going, wow, man, I didn't spend a dime of my own dollar. But those are rare. They are rare. They do materialize, but they are rare. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. So you're going to need some money to do real estate investing. Real estate investments don't have to be on the scale of purchasing like a New York high-rise or, putting your name on a Vegas hotel. Most real estate investors find that getting advice, doing research, and being strategic about where they buy their rental investment properties, like, single-family homes or small multifamily apartment communities, they do these things because they have learned that these assets have the ability to produce passive income streams. Now, if you own rental real estate right now, it's in your portfolio, but you're not getting passive streams of income, well, then there's something flawed with what you're doing. Maybe you bought in a location where you thought, wow, the prices, they just keep going up and up and up. So you're spending $600,000 on a house that's not producing enough rent to cover whatever mortgage you put on that property. So you're digging into your pockets every month to make the difference up because the rent only covers so much. All right, well, that's a problem. That's negative cash flow. Negative cash flow is not good. Negative cash flow is bad. And I know this firsthand because I did negative cash flow for many, many years because I didn't know the correct way to do things. Yeah, I'm just telling you, I'm human like you. Here's the other thing. Maybe you have an asset that's not producing cash flow, and maybe it's not because, you overpaid for the property, but maybe the rental income for that particular property just doesn't produce the amount of money that you need in order to generate positive cash flow. So you start thinking, well, maybe you need to put more money into that deal. And there are people that do that. They'll put 40, 50, 60, 70% down in order to get the mortgage rates to as low of a level as possible so that they can actually make cash flow. Now, the problem with doing something like that is that you take so much of your usable cash and you drop it into one asset. So all of those dollars are confined to that asset, and you are taking a reduced return on your investment because you have too much money in that deal. You're not getting great returns on that money. Yeah, you might be getting appreciation and you might be getting some positive cash flow, but there are other assets that you could put your money into that would produce much better results for you. As a matter of fact, it's better to have your money spread out over 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 different properties as opposed to having all your money into one particular property, because the multiple properties have the potential to return as much, maybe even more cash flow. And here's the other thing. When property values go up, you will now have multiple properties going up in value as opposed to one property going up in value. And that's an important consideration to put in the back of your mind. It really is. Now, here's another misconception that's out there. I mean, in this one, it might actually be more intense than the first one that, takes tons of money. Well, here it is. Real estate investment is very, very, very risky. When we come back from the break, I'll tell you why it's not. Stick around.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Welcome back to the show. So we're talking about some of the common misconceptions about investing in real estate. And there's a lot of bad information flying around out there. Just go on the internet. You can experience it. As a matter of fact, if you just type real estate investing into your favorite browser, you're going to get all kinds of information coming at you from all kinds of different directions, giving you all kinds of opinions. And then you go, all right, man, which one do I choose? Which is the right way to go? What's the way that makes most sense for my financial situation? And then you start getting maybe a little bit overwhelmed and you start getting a little confused, and then you go, man, why did I even start thinking about this? Well, the reason you started thinking about this is because somebody, maybe a guy like me, put a bug in your ear that said, retirement as you know it is not really as you know it. You don't have to do the 40 to 45 year grind, trading time for money, shoving money into a 401k, hopefully getting matching funds, watching that fund grow over time, stressing out from time to time when the stock market decides to go through one of its corrections, which I affectionately call a crash, and then watching all that value evaporate, being told by your financial planner, it's okay, buddy, it's okay. You've got time. You've got another 20 years before you're even planning to retire. We can ride this out. So you ride it out, and things get a little smoother, and then you get back into calm seas, and then once again, the stock market does what the stock market does, and all of a sudden you watch value erode, poosh, gone, and you're sitting there getting nervous. Meanwhile, your financial planner is saying, don't sweat it, man, don't sweat it, man. You still got 10 more years to go to retirement. And then you start thinking, holy smokes, what happens if I get to retirement and the stock market does that to me again while I'm in retirement? Now I'm taking money out of the 401k, so that might have a more substantial impact on my ability to recover when the market recovers. Yeah, this is why you need to have some real estate in your portfolio. And I firmly believe that your portfolio should be filled mostly with real estate. Actually, I believe it should all be real estate. But some people, they like to have a little bit of gold on the side. Some people like to not give up control of that 401k. Some people like having those IRAs in the background, just in case, because that's the sacred cow that we are holding on to. That's like my teddy bear from childhood. I can't let those things go. Well, I think you need to let them go, because I think the risks identified in real estate investing are very minimal. Not only are they minimal, they can be easily mitigated by several things. The first thing is you have to be educated. You must understand the business model for investing correctly in real estate. And I'm not talking about all kinds of real estate. I'm talking about specifically residential income producing assets, single family homes, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and then pure multifamily, which is a collection of 5 units or larger, which creates a multifamily apartment community. When you're invested correctly into those assets will produce cash flows for you. And you will use those cash flows to replace your ordinary income to get yourself to a place of retirement. Now, a lot of folks will say, okay, I've got my first house. I'm bringing that cash flow in. I'm bringing in like $400 a month, positive cash flow. That's not enough for me to retire on. What do I do with that money? Well, my advice is take that money and set it aside, because at the end of the year, you're going to have a nice little chunk of money sitting there in the form of about $4,800. Yeah, $4,800, $400 a month. Times 12 months, that works out to be $4,800 a year. Now, can you get into your next rental property with $4,800? I don't know. Maybe you can. Chances are you can't. Probably not in today's market. Today's market's pretty white hot. It's requiring more cash to get into deals just because of the nature of the market. But let's say you saved all that money again for another year, and now you've got close to $10,000. Now, maybe you can get another property with that asset, with that money. Maybe not. But here's the other thing. You're also changing what you're spending money on. So you're able to set more money aside for investment, because the key thing is this. You want to get as much money deployed into real estate so that you can get those passive income streams coming in. Whether you choose to spend them on living expenses, whether you choose to hold them for more acquisitions, that's your choice. That's absolutely your choice. And here's the other thing about the risk associated with real estate. People get concerned that they'll allow a resident into their property. And even though they have done everything they're supposed to do to correctly screen that person to find the best possible resident for their property, maybe they're still a little nervous about them because, you just kind of met, right? I mean, you did a little background check, a little criminal history check their credit score. They've got cash in the bank. They've got a good job. You called the last landlord, said they were good to go. You called the landlord before them. They said they were good to go. And you said, okay, these people are good to hook. And you put them in the property. And then you get worried because, what happens what if they get careless? What if they burn the place down? Well, what's your risk there? Absolutely not a whole lot. And here's why. Because you're thinking, are you kidding me? The place just burned down. Okay, here's my point. You have the right insurance products on that property. So you are protected from harm if that place burns down. And if it does burn down, you're going to build it back to brand new condition. No matter what condition it was in before it burned, it's going to be brand new construction, because you don't do rehab on stuff that burned for the most part. Yeah. So you're going to get a brand new structure to replace what was there. And then you're thinking, wait a minute, man, that could take a couple months. Are you telling me that the resident's going to pay me rent? No, they're not going to pay you rent. As a matter of fact, you have to let them out of the lease, because even if it was their fault, you don't have a property to rent to them because it burned down. So as a result of that, it kind of breaks the lease. So you got to let that resident go. It doesn't mean you can't bring them back when you renovate the property and get it all brand new again, but you got to let them go. And you're thinking, well, what about my cash flow, man? Because if they're not paying me rent, then that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing for me. Now all of a sudden I've got no cash flow coming in. Well, this is why you put certain riders on your insurance policy. And one of those riders that you'll have on your insurance policy is something called loss of rent insurance. Loss of rent insurance is there specifically to give you and pay you the amount of rent that you would have received if that resident were still living there, which solves a lot of your problems. We come back from the break. More misconceptions. I got a bunch to break down. Stick around.
Warning. Listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Welcome back to the show. So yesterday, I was watching a little bit of TV. I had a little downtime. It was Sunday afternoon, and I was just kind of taking it easy around the house because that's what I do in my retired mode of my life. Wife was watching some TV show in the other room that I wasn't interested in, so I started flipping through the channels. And, of course, I came up to one of my favorite stations, HGTV. That's right, Home and Garden Television. The home of all of these shows that are going to teach you how to invest in real estate. That's right. They're going to, and they all have nice smiles, and they're all pretty. They're all photogenic. They all seem to do this amazing work and make this amazing amount of money by doing hardly anything to create the value. Okay, so they do some renovations and things like that, and I'll give you that. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions out there about investing in real estate is that you may think the best investors actually buy and flip property. Yeah, you might think that. And I will tell you this, buying and flipping, it's not investing. It is not investing. And you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute. Doesn't investment focus on putting your money to work for you, to put your money into an asset, to repurpose that asset, to create value in that asset, to allow that asset to go up in value, and then you sell that asset off and you make a bundle of money? I mean, come on, that's investing, right? That's not investing. That's a job. I just described a job to you. You heard me correctly. A job. See, most people that do real estate flipping, not all of them, but most people that do real estate flipping that get into the process, that get several properties going at any given time, what they wind up doing is they've created a job for themselves. They've been able to leave the job that they were at because they're making money flipping, so now they're self-employed. Now they're calling the shots. Now they're engaged 40, 50, 60 hours a week flipping properties. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but here's what I am saying. Flipping properties is the equivalent to day trading in the stock market. It is. Because all of your profits are short-term profits. Therefore, all of your profits are taxed based on short-term capital gains rates, which pretty much means you're going to pay a lot more in taxes than if you had held those investments for the minimum time required by the IRS, which is 1 year and a day, to get that lower tax rate. And really, the IRS doesn't tell you what the tax rates are. Those are decided by Congress and approved by the president. I mean, that's the way laws work in this country. And right now, I'm guessing there's probably some movement in place to modify some of those capital gains rates because this version of the presidency doesn't agree with the former version of the presidency, and they think that maybe we as Americans are not paying enough and that government needs to grow. All right, there's my editorial comment. I'm going to step away from that. But let's get back to HGTV. When you're flipping properties, you may make a nice chunk of money, but you've got to carve out short-term capital gains taxes. Yeah, meaning you're probably going to pay along the lines of whatever your ordinary tax rate is on the gains that you make on that flip. Here's the other thing. The IRS classifies real estate flippers as real estate dealers. That's kind of the same way as like auto dealers. Yeah, because that's kind of what you do. You go out and find something, you bring it into your inventory, you do what you need to do to make it nicer, and then you resell that property or that car or whatever the asset is. And because you didn't hold it for a year, you're going to pay self-employment taxes. Yeah, that's why flipping is not investing. See, investing is the concept where you put your money to work for you. You don't try and pull it back out too fast. Now, could you pull it out fast? Sure you could. Sure you could. But the intent is to acquire an asset, stabilize that asset, and have that asset produce something tangible for you. And that tangible thing is cash flow. I mean, think about it. Earlier in the show, I said, hey, you got one house. It's producing $400 a month for you. So you're making, what, $4,800 a year in cash flow? Okay, not bad, right? $4,800 a year in cash flow on one particular property. But let's supersize that. Let's say you get going and you're able to develop 20 properties in your portfolio. You get to work and you buy one asset after another asset, after another asset, and after another asset. And you repurpose those properties, you get them fixed up, kind of like the flipper would do, but instead of selling those properties, you put those properties into service as part of rental housing stock. And because you've put property into service as part of rental property stock, that is probably on the high end of what everything else looks like, it gets noticed. And you will have very little problems finding the right people to rent that property to, because you'll, in essence, create I don't want to use the word bidding war, but you might, especially in today's markets. Yeah, so it's a lot different. You know, here's the other thing that kind of just bothers me about those flipping shows on TV. I mean, they make it look like making money is some kind of easy and glamorous way. You know, I don't even know where I'm going. You know, they take the whole emphasis off of what are we really trying to create here, and it's entertainment. That's where I'm going. It's entertainment. Yeah, because have you ever watched those shows and they don't actually show you what the actual costs are to do the deal? They also don't show you what it costs to acquire the deal. They don't show you what the costs are associated with selling the deal. They don't wrap all that stuff in there. They just give you some very general numbers, and they give you the impression that you're just going to make an incredible amount of money. But when you know what you're looking for in a transaction, when you know what it costs to acquire property and also what it costs to sell that property down the road, you also understand that there are costs associated with the transaction that, you know, the flippers don't necessarily show. And the other thing that you don't see is that when they turn off the cameras, they actually have a real crew of people going in there to do the work, because the TV star isn't really doing all the work. Yeah, trust me, they ain't doing the work. All right, let's step away from those HGTV people, and let's take on another misconception about real estate. And here it is. You don't need any skill at all to be a real estate investor. That's right. You don't need any particular skills. Yeah, and that is just so far from the truth, I don't even know where to begin. Well, I'll be honest with you. The place to begin is an education. And not just any education. I mean, you can go out and buy a book, and you can read what somebody wrote about real estate investing, and that may not be the solution to your problems. As a matter of fact, you may have learned a process of investing that doesn't work with what you want to do. Or maybe you went out and bought a course, and that course didn't teach you what you need to know. Well, it's one of the reasons Lifestyles Unlimited exists, is so that we can give you a proper real estate education. When we come back, We'll get more into investing. Stick around.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. It's time to turn up the volume and fine-tune your passive income plan so you can create the lifestyle you've always wanted.
Welcome back to the show. You know, it seems that everyone has an opinion on investing in real estate. Just ask anyone, and they'll give you an opinion. And with that opinion, you're going to get some fact, but you're going to get a lot of misconception. Because a lot of people have opinions about investing in real estate, which are believable because there's so many bad stories about people getting burned by investing in real estate. And if you peel back the onion on all of those stories, usually what you find is the root cause is misinformation. That's right. They went into something without the knowledge and experience necessary to be successful at it. So they went out, they did something, they got a bad result, and they thought, man, you know what? This doesn't work. They want to kick it to the curb. And then, kind of like your mom in the background going, I told you it wasn't going to work. Yeah. I'm not saying your mom did that. My mom did that every once in a while. Not always. She tried to be encouraging, but sometimes she would just see me do stupid stuff and just shake her head knowing what the result was going to be. But here's the thing. That misconception of no skill necessary to invest in real estate, man, I'll tell you, if you believe that's true, you're going to get burned. You're going to get burned because there's a lot of things to learn about the investment system, the investment process. You have to learn how to be selective on the assets that you want to acquire. You have to understand that those assets need to be purchased for wholesale pricing, and that when you bring those properties back to their glory days, you're going to have a business plan to do that, and you're going to have people doing that for you. And you find that great resident to sign a lease, and then you stabilize the property with long-term financing, and it's producing cash flow for you. That's a good thing. That's a very good thing. When you understand that process, and trust me, that process is not very difficult to understand. But if you've never gone through that process, it could feel like trying to climb Mount Everest. It could feel that way. But it's not. You're not climbing Mount Everest. What you're doing is getting educated. You're learning what you need to know in order to correctly invest. You know, what it does for you is it blows away the misconception that investing in real estate is as simple as just buying a property anywhere and renting it out for whatever you think you want to rent it out for, and then it's going to magically increase the value of the property overnight, and you're just going to make gobs of money. Yeah, so that doesn't work. You really have to have that insider's view of the market. In other words, you have to focus on the market that you're interested in investing in, and you need to spend a little bit of your time. I'm not talking about days and weeks and stuff. I'm talking about like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to understand the market that you're interested in investing in, especially if you plan to purchase investment property. It's a good idea to make relationships with realtors, and not just any realtors out there, because trust me, anybody can go to real estate school, pass a test, and then be licensed to sell real estate. And then they can go pay some money to the National Association of Realtors, and they can call themselves a realtor. But that doesn't mean they understand the mechanics of the business model that you and I are talking about. What the realtors do for you, though, is once they become seasoned, once they've done their homework, they become a conduit for you because they can give you an idea of what's going on in the marketplace. They can give you trend information. They can tell you which areas seem to be attracting renters, what areas seem to be attracting new home buyers because maybe you have an asset that you want to sell. They give you a piece of the information that you need to have. And this is why you shouldn't have just any real estate agent on your team. You want to have somebody that's out there doing the business of real estate, somebody that is successful listing, negotiating, selling, negotiating, making sure transactions complete, negotiating. You hear me with the negotiating piece? Yeah, you've got to have somebody that understands what you are doing from an investment standpoint that could go in and represent you in negotiations so that you get the best deal you can possibly get on a property to acquire it. And then you also want that person doing the same thing for you when you sell the property. So there is skill required with real estate investing. If you're nervous about the right way to do this, just join Lifestyles Unlimited. I'm serious. Just become a member of our organization. It doesn't cost a lot of money, and we're going to teach you all of these things that I'm telling you you need to understand. We do it in a 16-hour format. Yeah, it's going to be 16 hours of your time. But unlike the 4 years that you went to college, or maybe 4.5 or 5 years, or like my brother, 10 years that he went to college, unlike all that time spent in college, that 16 hours that you immerse yourself into, when you step out of that, you'll have your business plan in your mind. You will. I mean, that's what we do. We make this process as easy as possible for you, to give you the information that you need to help you build your team, to build your business so that you can get out there and start doing what you need to do, which is getting one step closer to retirement. That's how we get you to a point of retirement in 5 years or less. Yeah, we get you focused, we get you understanding the business model, then we get you engaged with putting money to work for yourself in the assets that make the most sense for your investing strategy based on your long-term goals and objectives. So let's get into another massive misconception that's out there. Although some of you might think this is real. This is absolutely real. I mean, I'm not saying this is absolutely real. I'm just saying you might think this. Owning rental properties, it's a second full-time job. That's right. It's another 40-hour-a-week job. And if you think that, man, I'll tell you, you got to go back to what I just said a moment ago, which is you have to get yourself an education. Because once you're educated, you're not spending a lot of time on this stuff. What you're doing at that point is you're working on your business, which is a huge distinction from working in your business. See, there are people that think that real estate investing, they are doing it all by themselves, all alone. They're out there trotting forward. They've got to do all the work themselves. And that's just wrong. That is absolutely wrong. See, one of the things that we'll teach you to do is to build a team of quality people that bring specific skill sets to your business plan. Because you don't want to be drywalling a property. You want somebody that knows how to drywall a property to drywall your property. You don't want to do the roof replacement on a property. You want somebody that knows how to do the roof replacement on the property and can hand you a warranty when they're done. You don't want to do plumbing repairs after you've just lifted the foundation and cracked half of the pipes underneath the house because the property was so off level. You want to hire people that know how to do that stuff for you, because what you're doing is orchestrating the deal. And orchestrating the deal does not take a lot of time. I'll tell you, with the advent of all this technology stuff, people are accessible. People are easily accessible in today's age, as opposed to, say, 20 years ago. So owning rental properties is not a second full-time job. It's not. And if it feels like it is to you, because maybe you own some rental properties, you just feel like that, man, I'm spending all my spare time like fixing stuff on the property or going over there, doing this or doing that. What you need to do is you need to get into Lifestyles, and you need to let us teach you the right methodology. Because even though you think you know what you're doing, you may have some of the pieces correct, but some of the pieces may be incorrect, which is part of the reason you become a member of our organization, so that we can teach you what right looks like, so you can fine-tune the things that are out of whack, so that you can get your investments creating the returns that you need, so that you get your time back, so that you get yourself on that path to retirement in the next 5 years. You surround yourself with successful, like-minded individuals that are interested in seeing you succeed. And they're giving back, and so are you. And I'll tell you what, you're part of a culture that just loves this investing stuff. And if you want to find out how, go to freeworkshoplivestream.com.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.